Hello and welcome to ThePrint Live. Today we are discussing the Aam Aadmi Party manifesto for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections that has just been launched by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, with Lok Sabha candidates of the party from Delhi and other senior party leaders. Now, the entire Aam Aadmi Party manifesto is premised on one basic promise/demand. It is the statehood for Delhi. Now, what will it mean if Delhi becomes a state? Topics like land, law and order, police, and services, which still remains under consideration of a larger constitution bench, will come under control of the Delhi government. The Kejriwal team has promised that it will provide 33% reservation in the police forces for women if Delhi becomes a state and all of its 7 candidates end up being elected in the parliament. It is also promised to set up fast-track courts for all cases related to women, hence improving women's security in the state. Moreover, they've also promised Pakka houses for every family living in Delhi. Aside from this, they also promised to fill nearly 2 lakh job vacancies in the government departments with an 85% reservation for Delhi residents. A similar kind of promise is also going to be enacted in colleges, where they're saying that 85% reservation will be provided to candidates who are residents in Delhi, and college education will be guaranteed to everyone who scores over 60% in their class 12 board exams. Now, Kejriwal's fight, or as a matter of fact, the Delhi government's fight with the centre, has been infamous ever since the party came to power for the first term in its 49-day government. The control of the Anti-Corruption Bureau was wrested from it, which now the Supreme Court earlier this year ruled will stay with the centre. Then moreover, there was that time in June 2018 when Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia camped outside Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal's office, because they said that key decisions that they wanted passed were not being passed by the LG. Now, even as this fight continues, what Kejriwal is asserting, what he is asserting is that if Delhi gets statehood, it can fulfill a lot more promises for the people of the state, for the people of the national capital, than it could have done without getting statehood for the national capital. So what they've tried to do is they've tried to highlight the things in their manifesto that they have achieved without Delhi being a proper state and with limited control over powers here, and what they will achieve if at all they do get the powers that they are seeking. Do keep sending in your questions. We look forward to engaging on this topic. But other than that, they've also promised the regularization of unauthorized colonies in Delhi. Now, what Kejriwal really wants is that Delhi, the national capital, should be considered a state. But does the manifesto with all of its promises become pointless if we think that Delhi statehood is a distant dream? A lot of experts argue that since Delhi is the national capital of the country, statehood for it it's highly unlikely that it will achieve it. If you even go to the Delhi government's website, you will notice that several instances of former BJP leaders or senior Congress leaders having pitched for statehood for Delhi, which is something Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has also talked about repeatedly in the past, are mentioned there. However, this demand has never gone through. There are various reasons for this. Sometimes people say that it's because the centre cannot see to the fact that the control of the national capital will go on to a different state. Now, Aam Aadmi Party has also pitched that the NDMC area can remain under the control of the centre. However, the rest of the national capital of Delhi should come back to the Delhi government. But the bifurcation on those grounds also seems slightly unlikely. So here's the thing. I mean, with all of these promises, if we look at statehood as something that is a distant dream, then all of these promises will fall short of fulfillment. Moreover, even if, let's assume, all 7 candidates of the Aam Aadmi Party go into the parliament, the chances of them being able to leverage enough power to guarantee statehood for Delhi also seems like an unlikely option. Although, even in today's manifesto launch, what the Aam Aadmi Party had asserted was, even in today's manifesto launch, they've asserted that it will be these 7 seats, and who wins on these 7 seats, that will decide whether or not who will be the Prime Minister of the country. And if they decide to support the concept of statehood for Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party will be supporting them with all 7 seats. We look forward to receiving your questions. There are also other things that Aam Aadmi Party has talked about. Like, for example, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today has urged the people of Delhi to vote en masse to make Delhi a state. Even Kejriwal at some point or the other realizes that most people in the national capital vote for the next prime minister. The words are written verbatim in the manifesto. However, that kind of is a kind of realization that people will still be voting on who to make prime minister. But they want to shift the focus to statehood, which again, like we said, according to experts, seems like a distant dream, seems like something that cannot be achieved despite many hurdles. How is it that you can have a national capital that is controlled by a state and at the same time have central government agencies here? Another major thing that the centre and the Delhi government have been tussling over is the question of services. Now, as of Feb this year, the Supreme Court had ruled that a larger bench, because Justice A.K. Sikri and Justice Bhushan were divided, there was a split verdict. They were divided on whether services in the national capital should stay with the Delhi government or whether they should be under the control of the centre. So, since there was a split verdict, it has been referred to a larger constitution bench. But the police, the Delhi Development Authority, which also is responsible for the allocation of land, stays with the centre. Okay, so we have a question here which says, why does Delhi need statehood? Now, if you were to go by the Aam Aadmi Party's pitch, what they are asserting is that Delhi needs statehood because that is the only way in which the government will be able to function more efficiently. However, since it's the national capital, the entire situation becomes complicated. We will have to bifurcate the entire idea of the national capital in order to be able to arrive at a cohesive understanding of what this statehood is. I mean, does Delhi really need statehood? We've been functioning as the national capital for the last 72 years of our independence. I mean, that is a question that has come up time and again. But if you are to listen to the Aam Aadmi Party, and also look at their track record, because they have often alleged that the centre has interfered in their workings and the centre has often blocked the kind of decisions they want to make. So their pitch is that Delhi needs statehood because that is the only way they will be able to work efficiently and they will be able to deliver on all of their promises to the people of Delhi. But is this statehood achievable? Is yet another thing that seems to be debated. It's yet another thing that we need to keep on talking about. Whether or not we can reach that, it's not technically impossible for Delhi to become a state, but however, it is very difficult. And as I've mentioned earlier, a lot of people have pitched it, a lot of people have tried. However, that doesn't seem to have come through for them. So, moreover, Aam Aadmi Party has said that if they get full statehood in the manifesto that they have just released today, they've also said that they will provide free education to children up to the age of 18. Yet another thing, education and health have been the primary focus of the Aam Aadmi Party when it comes to development. They have also, again, as I mentioned, alleged that the centre constantly interferes. For example, they have not allocated them land to set up more number of mohalla clinics, or that they have not allocated them land to make more colleges. So their entire pitch, all of these promises will only come to pass if they can make Delhi a state. Which, by the way, is a mighty big if, as we have said before, because again, it's been tried and we have not been able to reach there. Then there's a lot of focus is also being laid on women's security in the Aam Aadmi Party manifesto. I mean, taking on from the point where Delhi is considered the rape capital of all of India, they have said that the only way to do this is to actually professionalize and reform the police force from the very inside. And they want to start doing this by giving 33% stake in the police force to women. Yet again, police is a central subject. Yet again, Delhi will have to become a state for it to happen. So, I mean, one relevant question to ask is that are these promises even worth making, considering the entire question of statehood for Delhi remains limited? B.N. Anand wants to know, to achieve statehood, it requires a constitutional amendment. How is that possible unless there is a national consensus? Exactly what we have been talking about, Mr. Anand. The thing is that what Mr. Kejriwal plans to do, or what the Aam Aadmi Party has resolved to do, is that they want to leverage the 7 seats that they are hoping to win in the national capital against the demand for statehood. They believe that these 7 seats will decide who will form the next government in the country. And if it comes, and when push comes to shove, and these 7 seats are the ones that are on the marker, Aam Aadmi Party says it will pledge support to whichever party or whichever prime minister is more amenable to giving Delhi statehood. And as we've seen earlier, I mean, between the entire tussle between Congress and AAP, and after Congress released its manifesto, statehood for Delhi was missing from it, and Aam Aadmi Party at that point in time was also miffed, and the alliance also fell through. And the talks, even though there's been back and forth between the talks, it seems like a consensus on the issue of statehood was not even reached between Aam Aadmi Party and Congress. So we will have to wait and see, for starters, who is going to be forming the government at the center. It is of utmost importance because they are the ones who are going to be dealing with this issue the next time when it comes up. Manas wants to know, do you think this demand will boost AAP's popularity in the upcoming elections? Okay, that's an interesting question, mostly because Aam Aadmi Party has often been accused of playing the victim card. So taking off from there, and after the entire tussle with the LG, whether it was Najeeb Jung or whether it was Bejal, the entire idea that it's the center that's interfering with their work might just work in their favor, because they have been building up to that for a while. They have been talking about this idea that the efficacy of their government is only limited and hampered by the BJP government at the center. So if the sympathy vote tilts in their favor, it might be possible, but is it translating into votes on the ground? Is it translating into popularity on the ground? Hardly. I mean, it hardly seems so, because statehood is something, when you move on the ground, just take a minute and ask a couple of people, what do they understand by statehood for Delhi? What is Aam Aadmi Party asking for? They may not be able to explain to you what exactly AAP wants by making Delhi a state, but they will tell you that yes, the center has interfered with their work. But then again, we are talking about the Lok Sabha election, and as far as trends go in Delhi, people in Delhi cast their vote in the Lok Sabha election to form a government at the center. And even if they may be happy with the Aam Aadmi Party government at the level of the national capital, will it translate into votes to get them into Lok Sabha? Remains to be seen. So like we were saying, we are going to be, so the thing is that they are asking for, to a certain extent, a sympathy vote. They want the full confidence of the people of Delhi. They want full control of the government of Delhi in their hands. They say that by bifurcating it down the middle, their powers have been limited, and a chief minister is not a chief minister, and the people of Delhi are practically electing a powerless government. But is this powerless government, is this actually a powerless government? Will they keep pitching for the fact that Delhi needs to become a state? How far will their promises fare with the public? I mean, the manifesto has been released barely a few hours ago. I'm sure people are going to look at it, people are going to go through it. There are some very, very interesting promises that the Aam Aadmi Party has made, especially with education, especially with health, women's security, by promising reservation in government jobs up to 85% to residents of Delhi, which still hasn't been defined. But since all of these are limited, and all of these are actually circumspect unless Delhi becomes a state, it remains to be seen what will happen and how will people react. Will they react positively to these promises? How will the statehood affect the administrative structure, and what is the opinion within the bureaucracy? Like, isn't Delhi police comfortable with the present setup? Mr. Nanak Darshan, I believe the Delhi police must be comfortable with the present setup, and they're not particularly vying for going in and getting under the control of the Aam Aadmi Party. So after the entire gang rape case happened in 2012, the question of the Delhi police actually going back to the Delhi government became a major deal. That's when the entire conversation began, that they should be responsible to the citizens of Delhi, to the people of Delhi. So they have to respond to that. So, I mean, how will it affect the bureaucracy? As of now, like I said, the question of services is still pending with a larger constitution bench, which will take a call on it perhaps later this year. It still remains to be decided whether Delhi government will be able to choose the people who are working in the secretariats. So that's where that basic problem lies, that they cannot appoint doctors in the government hospitals that they're going to, or they can't confirm teachers in the government schools, which is exactly what they're pushing for with statehood. But again, in the bureaucracy, what people are people happy? Are they unhappy about it? Again, is also a subjective question. Also, mostly because when Aam Aadmi Party came to power, they had tried to, in effect, make a number of transfers and call the bureaucracy to account. So the feeling of happiness or unhappiness, unfortunately, only the bureaucracy can tell you. But it remains a tussle. It remains a tussle till the fact that the Delhi government versus centre is a very sentiment that is being articulated in the Aam Aadmi Party's manifesto. But like I said before, most of these promises seem like promises that will be fulfilled only if AAP can leverage all 7 of its candidates. Otherwise, is the question of if the question of statehood does not come through, then perhaps Aam Aadmi Party's election manifesto will remain just a promise.